This video is on the origin of technocreep. Technocreep. The origin of technocreep. Who the heck am I? Where did I come from? I am from the future. Okay? I didn't choose it. It had to happen eventually. Somebody had to actually end up. I mean, the laws of probability. I mean, eventually you get high enough with technology, and I just messed this up. Somebody's going to end up on the receiving end of an experiment that goes not necessarily wrong, but just there's like, oops. And, well, in the future there are still universities, and they are still doing experiments with different things, just like today, these days you have places that, use college students, university students or whatever, to experimentally test products. Well, in the future they're experimentally helping to test technologies. I just happen to be the frickin' guinea pig who got stuck being thrown back in the past. You heard me say in a, they haven't perfected it, even in the 23rd century, they have not perfected time travel. It's more of touch and go. What is the saying for it? Where you're trying it and you're testing it. You're trying it out. Trial and error. Trial and error. Still getting used to you guys' terminology in this time period. Origin technocreep. Eventually, I mentioned it in another video before about how, and this is a real experience, that they had the simulation, the device that in different places that you could go to. For university, they had a set you can, in a tour, you could test out this device, and I'll put time travel. It was more like not time travel, but time viewing. Time travel / view. You walk through the device, and for a split second or a full second or so, different times, it's just like, it seems like it lasts longer than other times. It's sporadic sometimes, but usually for about at least a split second, you can see yourself in front of yourself. And like I said in the previous video, I saw myself in front of me. For a split second, all of a sudden I saw myself appear in front of me, and what I saw in front of me turned and fell. And that's when I realized, as I was seeing that, if I can see myself in front of me, can I see myself behind me, the me that was, a step behind as well? Could I see myself in the past? So I tried to turn around, and I did exactly what I had seen myself do in front of me. I turned my head, tripped, and fell. That is real. I am not kidding. I saw that. It freaked me out, but because you hear about it, but when you actually experience it, it's trippy, as you guys would say. So the thing is, they had a full-blown scale model of testing something. I can't describe to you what all went into it. I'm not even going to bother trying. Don't understand it. It's way too advanced for this time frame. But I was thrown back in the past. And that's where I came from. Stuck back here. People took me in. What can I say? The rest is history. You get a menial job, because even though you have all this knowledge, people are like, that's nice, sweep the floor, or work at McDonald's or someplace like that. Anywho, well, that's pretty much it. All I can tell you is I do miss the technology from the future. Boy, I tell you. So I am from the future. It was one of the few times I think I've either heard or seen them actually taking on actual people as how controversial it is when you actually take humans and experiment on them with like things like drugs, or changing, or trying to clone, or trying to change the genome by incorporating something from another species or whatever like that, which in this time period people will never let happen. Well, the same thing goes with testing out technology on humans. There is no transporter technology, okay? And in the future also we have not come across aliens species yet. The only aliens we've come across so far are our own, humans that have been changed by what I've mentioned before, the cross-species gene pollination. So even in the 23rd century, we haven't come across that. And by the way, those of your people who are hiding, the government who's hiding that in Area 51, are hiding some of your even future descendants. We don't know what they've come to our time period as well. They are from even the future beyond the 23rd century. That's all I can tell you. We have had them visit our time frame. We've actually been able to detect them, but they've eluded us thus far. We've seen them. They've made their presence known. They know that we know they're there. They're watching us for whatever reason that we don't know yet. But in the 23rd century, we figured out they're the same ones as what you guys have. Your government has it. They're hiding it. We know it's there because by that time we've already opened it up for investigation and whatnot. So yes, there is something in Area 51 from the future, and they are not aliens. They are some of your flippin' descendants who've been probably been the recipient of this cross-species stuff and ended up being, over the generations and constantly changing their genome, they've ended up somehow or another, they've ended up in that state. Maybe they want to I can see it from my point of view. I can kind of see, like if you see ripples in the water and you know you heard a splash a few seconds before, you know that probably the ripples came from the splash. And it's kind of like we see in our time frame the splash, and we can see the ripples that would progress into the future. Cross-species gene pollination, if somebody wants better brain capacity, well, you find another species that has the potential for growth in that area, and you try to incorporate it into human genome. Of course, your people that are into that, remember, they want more strength and more speed, say, in being as a human. Well, there are people who also want more intellect. Okay, and that just goes right along with the people who wanting more from that other species. So that is real. It is happening, and I can see it progressing in the future to the point where in the future there are males, females, and there are neuters. Some have chosen to try and incorporate the male and female. We've had some success with it. Some things have just happened naturally where, and you guys have already seen it in this time period, your hermaphrodites. Well, one step further to that is if you can have a hermaphrodite that has both sex organs, well, can you simply just change the genome so that along with the, just physical outward appearance of being both male and female, could you also within them have the ability for them to basically fertilize themselves and reproduce without having to mate? That does exist in the future. They do exist. They're the neuters, but yet some still choose to go ahead and reproduce. So that could be where your little green men who are basically lacking in sex organs came from. That's a possibility. We, again, even in our time frame, the 23rd century, we don't know who they are exactly, but we believe they are descended from the human race.